Hey guys, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And I'm Rachel Cruze.
I'm George Kamel.
And this is
Smart Money Happy Hour.
Is it Happy New Year or New Year's?
Happy New Year.
Oh my gosh, why did I just go plural?
Wait, now I'm second guessing myself.
Oh.
Someone Google it. I don't want to have to.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's just year. I
Happy
was
New
right.
Year.
I think
was
it's year.
Okay.
We have to say it right because 14 people are going to tweet
I know.
at me
If you
going,
say
said it
Happy
wrong."
New Year's Eve, there's an S.
Oh, New Year's Eve.
But it's a New Year's
Happy New Year.
New Year's
Singular.
Day is with an S.
This
But
is the
just
hot
Happy New
content
Year,
you show up
It's just
for.
only
Okay.
one New Year.
Okay. Well, Happy New Year,
Thank you.
everyone.
And everyone.
And this is the show where two friends who happen to be money experts share our thoughts on money and pop culture, all with a drink in hand.
That's right. And today we are talking about the magic salary number for happiness. We crunched the numbers. We figured it out. Or did we?
Ooh, stay tuned.
Juicy.
So we're going to really, get into the nitty gritty there. But first and foremost, George, what are we drinking this episode?
We are kicking off the new year, cheersing to 2023 with a classic, the Jack and Coke.
I know. I love a Jack and Coke.
If
People
you're
hate on
listening,
it.
Can you guess what's in it if you're listening? That's the question.
So stick around to the end of the episode. We will give you our drink rating, the recipe, and the cost breakdown for making it.
Do you drink a lot of Coke? I feel like I've seen you down a Diet Coke or two.
I'll go Diet Coke. I'll go DC,
Wow.
if you hear that. Yeah.
That's what it means. Now we know.
Yes, I'll do that. And I do love, we'll talk about it at the end of the episode. We talk about the
Okay.
drink, but I'm not mad at it. Okay, so let's dig in to, is there a magic number? So we're going to go back to 2010,
Ooh, throwback.
12 years ago. What were you doing,
Now
George?
13 years ago.
Oh, Happy New Year.
Wow. How time flies.
How time flies. Okay, so George, give me like a rundown of George Kamel.
Oh, no.
2010. What were you doing?
I
What
had-
were you wearing? What was
skinny
going on?
jeans and probably a snap button Western shirt. And I had a mop on my head because I was still like in my skater phase.
Yes.
And I had just uprooted my life and moved from Boston, Massachusetts to Mobile, Alabama to restart college after dropping out and restart my life in the Deep South.
Wow.
I know.
2010, big year for you, George.
Huge year for me.
That is big.
Milestone year. You were probably like married, had a 401k already. Was
Yes
I
and
close?
yes.
Oh my gosh.
No, I did get married in 2009.
Wow.
So 2010, I started working at Ramsey
That's
Solutions.
amazing.
Yeah. And I was, I started speaking in 2010 full time that
Big year for
summer.
you.
And I went. I was probably wearing a chunky necklace. Remember
Was
those-
that on trend back
That
then?
was on trend.
You know what I was
That's-
wearing? Was Toms on my feet.
Yes, Toms.
Were you into Toms?
Yes, I was. Wedges were big.
I feel like
skinny
wedges
jeans.
are coming back.
Everything's coming back. That's
Well,
cycle.
skinny jeans are out. We know that.
No, I know.
Even though
They
I'm
are.
still wearing them right now.
Yes.
Much to your chagrin, Rachel.
It's fine. I got
You
the
wish I was
got
wearing
the bell
some,
bottoms
some
on today.
flared mom jeans.
that was 2010. And I mean, think back, Bieber, sweet Bieber,
Biebs.
released Baby. When Direction came out, William and Kate were engaged. iPads came out.
Changed the world.
I mean, it's pretty wild. I don't know. 2010, also Instagram was born.
Whoa.
Not wild.
For real?
Yep.
Oh my
October
goodness.
6th, if you want to know the birthday.
So why are we reliving the year 2010? That's the question.
Well, because research from Princeton University was released during that time, and they said that they found evidence for a person's happiness if they made a certain amount of money. So in 2010, their number was $75,000.
So that is the like benchmark number. If you want to be happy, you had to make $75,000.
According to Princeton, yes. So if you do like
How
inflation.
can I disagree with Princeton?
They're
so smart.
They're so smart. Throw a Yale in there, something,
Yeah,
Stanford. We
those
just believe
Ivy
them.
Leagues.
So-
We didn't go to those schools, Rachel, did we?
No, George, we're better than that.
We're so much better.
But yeah, so they like reported a greater degree of happiness for those making $75,000 or more. So what's crazy is you take inflation and everything going on. We ran the numbers, and today it would be equivalent to making a little over $100,000 today.
Okay.
Which is about 45% of families.
Who earned that or more.
Yes, in the last year. So just a little bit of like
Because the people are going to come at us and go, Rachel, that was in 2010. Now with inflation, you have to make 300,000. It's like, no, God, it's 100,000.
Yeah, simmer down.
Still a lot of money.
Get your Jack and Coke
but
and simmer.
Simmer down.
Simmer. I know. So, God, George, what do we think about it? Do you think
100,000 as a benchmark for happiness? I disagree.
Okay, go.
That's it.
Yes.
No,
more or less. What are your thoughts?
I think this idea that it's 100,000 because even then people go, Rachel, I live in Los Angeles. You'd be broke if you made it. And so there's so many factors that play into that number, and I just don't think putting a blanket number out there is helpful for anyone.
I agree. I totally agree because your situation is different all the way around, and I just think I'm like money. It is helpful. So we're not here to be like, you could have zero money and be great. You're probably going to be a little stressed if you make zero money. Like there's a reality here.
The less you have, the more stressful it is. That can be true.
Yeah. So there's like some realities to what money, a safety that it can bring, all of that. But it's so, it cannot be pared down to a number. I really don't believe that because I think you could be making $70,000 and be very content and happy with life and joyful. You could make $700,000 and be miserable. Right?
Yes.
So it's less about the number. It's more about the person.
And can we just put this as a caveat on this entire conversation that your salary does not define you. It does not speak to your character, your personality, none of it.
Yep.
It's just a number. And
That's
so
right.
people who put their value in their worth in what their salary is, stop that. You're around the wrong people.
Yes. Your net worth is not your self-worth, as I
Ooh,
like to say, George.
There's the tweet of the day.
There
We'll have
it
a theme
is.
song for that, I'm sure, in post.
Yeah. So, but what's fascinating is that a lot of people, they're actually talking about how much they make
Yeah.
more and more. I feel like it's become more common.
A lot of trending articles with headlines. It's like, here's how someone who makes $120,000 is still broke.
Yes. So
And
there's been
that's the general feeling these people have.
yes. So there's a lot of examples of this, George, and BuzzFeed actually went through and highlighted several people that made $100,000 in different parts of the country to talk about, that even for them, it's not what they expected. They were like thinking maybe six figures, everything will be fine, and not necessarily. So as an example, Allison is 32 years old, living in Birmingham with her husband and two kids, and they make $100,000 combined. And she says, I really just thought I wouldn't be stressed out about money at this point. So here's their breakdown, okay? So their mortgage is $1,300 a month, groceries $1,200, childcare $750, car payment $540, credit cards per month is $350. In total, they have $5,000 in credit card debt, monthly student loan payment $300. It's currently in forbearance. And they met their $2,500 deductible this year in medical expenses.
Ooh.
So
No wonder homegirl's stressed. They got payments out the eyeballs.
I know.
Okay, so what do you think about this budget, Rachel?
It's a lot of
they
debt.
make $100K combined. They're in Birmingham, Alabama, which is not like crazy high cost of living. It's
Yep.
probably one of the highest ones in Alabama. But you're going, you should be able to have a good life on $100K in Alabama.
Right. Well, if you add up just her debt payments,
Is it $1,190?
yes, quick math,
I
George.
did it in my head.
You did. I pulled out my calculator on my phone. Way to carry the one, George.
I tried. I was like, she's not texting. She's for
That's
sure trying to calculate.
That's impressive. I know. I'm just going quick.
I mean, it's like
Going quick.
second grade math, but it is
Okay,
a lot
fine,
mentally.
whatever.
We're doing a live podcast.
Whatever, George.
Okay, America,
Okay,
have some
okay.
grace for Rachel.
Okay. Thank you for the sympathy.
I was trying to support you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, anyways, if you had that money freed up, that's a different story.
$1,200 times 12 months.
So
That's over 14 grand.
I blame debt. I don't blame Allison, even though Allison
She
got
made the
into
decision
debt.
to go into debt.
She may have chosen to go into debt. Yes.
But on paper, the debt is the problem.
debt is the
here.
problem. Okay, go to the next one.
Okay. Alina, she's single. She's 27, lives in Arlington, Virginia, makes $100,000. Her monthly expenses, rent, $1,750. Mortgage and HOA for her vacation home, $1,200. Retirement, she's putting in $680 a month. Dining out, takeout, $600 a month. Monthly student loan payment, $500, currently in forbearance. Ride sharing, $300. Groceries, $350. Pilates, $180. And her health insurance premiums at $140.
And so she said, if I had to pick one word, my life is comfortable, but it's not particularly luxurious.
I feel like $180 in Pilates every month is a luxury.
I think $1,200 for your vacation home, luxury.
Agreed. That's the thing is other
Okay,
people look at this and are like, Alina, shut it.
time out,
Okay,
yeah.
your life is great.
Okay, but time out. I don't want to harp on her. Here's what sucks though, is that we live in a world where that stuff is like, that's the baseline. Like
Yes.
for her, she's like, no, that's like normal. Anything above that is luxury, where in reality, I'm like, no, that is luxury. But we live in a world where luxury and that level of living is normal. Like the standard of living of what we feel like is
insane.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And you do go back. I know people are like, oh my gosh, the boomers had it so easy. But you look back in the 70s, having a one car as a family was so normal. The square footage of a house was so much smaller than the average it is today. Like it just wasn't as big and grand, and now it is.
Oh, Sharon Ramsey at 27 did not have a $180 Pilates membership. No. Okay? Give me a break.
No, so what is that, George? Is that just like that's our world?
I think before social media, you didn't really know what was happening around you, and now we know too much.
Yeah.
And marketing has gotten way more sophisticated, and it can come at us, and it knows our deepest wants and needs, quote unquote.
Quote unquote.
It knows our hearts. And so part of it is just shutting off all of these inputs that is causing us to feel this way and feel this comparison. And what this also comes down to is a word called lifestyle creep.
Yep, it's
Which
real.
means the more you make, the more you're going to spend. And then you go, wait, I'm making great money. I have nothing to show for it.
Yes.
And part of lifestyle creep is we're going to buy the nicer car because we deserve it. We work hard. Those are some dangerous words.
It is, and it's like you can justify it because of what you make in a salary. Like those that make good money in a salary, like, well, we make this much. We should be driving this level of car. We should be going to these types of restaurants. You know, what would be considered luxury 30 years ago, where today it may
Yes.
not be considered luxury. When things like inflation, right, are squeezing your budget, everything, it's like that's when the rubber meets the road. And we have to realize, oh, wow, a lot of our wants have become needs or what we think are needs. So it's a real conversation to be had because I feel like we do have to re-examine where our money's going to be smart about it.
Yes. And we have to run our own race. There's
Yes.
so many comparisons happening. And there's a TikTok feed out there, it's a great, fun TikTok. It's called Salary Transparent Street from Hannah Williams. And she just goes around asking strangers what they do and what they make. And so there's this idea that if we just all knew how much money we all made, like life would just be simpler. I don't think it's that simple. Because
Yeah.
everyone comes in with different degrees of experience, different companies, the public sector, the private sector. You live in LA, she lives in Boise. And so it just doesn't feel like it doesn't make sense to just compare your salary.
Right,
To
right.
just go, well, I guess I'm doing better than I thought.
Yeah, yep, 100%. And again, going back to it's the person handling the salary, which is big because you could be making a ton, just like we'll use the example of Heidi, who was
Oh.
famous through her role as Elsie, Lauren Conrad's best friend turned enemy in the hills. Yes.
Of
so
course you would somehow spin this into reality show
I know.
talk.
But listen, at the peak of her career and her husband, Spencer Pratt, they accumulated over $10 million. Like, that's
Whoa.
great. But some of her business ventures were not successful. She had a lavish spending habit, $2 million in handbags and clothes. All of it.
Wow.
They now have a net worth of $300,000.
It went from $10 million to
I
$300,000.
know. So that's the thing about like this contentment piece. Like that, like you as a person could be terrible with your money and spend and think that like the more I spend, the better I am, and be handed $10 million.
Even when you have it all,
And it
it
doesn't
could all
work.
disappear.
I
mean, we
know.
see that with lottery winners a lot.
Yes,
You know, I won
for
the
sure.
lottery, and all of a sudden it's gone.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Okay, so we've heard from people that are making $100,000 and curious if it's a magic number. Is it a measly number? I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, if you just listen to them, it's very depressing.
Yeah.
Very cynical takes on like, there's no number. We're all just destined to be broke because life is expensive and inflation and the housing market and my Pilates membership. And there's a lot of entitlement, truthfully. And like, here's what I think I just deserve is like a basic human right. I should be able to afford Pilates and a vacation home. That's out there.
It is. But there's also people that make that and live in an expensive area, and it drains it quickly though, right? Like life is expensive.
Well, we know
though.
100,000 in LA, you're kind of broke.
Yeah.
100,000 in the Midwest, you're doing great.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so it really does depend on where you live, what you do with it, and your relationship with debt.
I know.
And if you have a whole bunch of payments, don't come at me complaining that life is expensive. You should be yelling at the lenders and paying off that freaking debt.
You tell them, George. You
Don't
tell
get
them.
me riled up.
So yeah, it's not necessarily an income problem always. It helps, right? Like if you're great at money and you're like, oh, I'm going to be wise, and you make more, then you're going to be able to use that to build more wealth, change your family tree, be generous, all of it. But the spending habits, I think, is key. I think that is
Yes.
the asterisk on the American culture is what we spend. And I'm guilty of frivolous spending. I'm not perfect at it. I know you might be perfect. Are you
No, I
perfect at it,
struggle.
George?
No, I struggle. But the key with
real
both
take.
of us is we are on a budget. We don't go into debt
Mm-hmm.
for anything. And we have spouses, which help us make more intentional
And I
decisions.
just don't think it's worth it, George. Here's my take.
What's not worth it?
Going into debt, because the amount of stress that it brings on just to drive that car. So, Allison, if it was freed up for $540, that's a lot of margin a month.
That's some breathing
A
room.
month. So, is the stress of living tightly with your money worth that car? I think a used Honda Civic
Thank you, Rachel.
would be better. So, all you out there that's like, well, you got to have a car payment. No, you don't. No, you don't.
The car I drove
You
up
can-
until a few months ago
you can
was
drive-
an '09 Honda Civic that I bought for $6,000. And it had body damage. It had seen some things, but she drove great.
She got you
served
from
me well.
point A to point B.
Yes.
And were you stressed with the car payment, George?
No stress
And this
whatsoever.
isn't like we're better than you. I don't want the listener out there to be thinking like, oh my gosh, y'all have it all right. But I just want to pose the challenge question. We're your friends. We are your friends asking you the hard questions this
Yes.
episode. We're being a little tough this
Because
episode,
your other
George.
friends are like, girl, you deserve it.
Oh my gosh, go. No, but really, is it worth the stress?
No.
Is the car worth the stress? Is the credit card debt worth the stress?
The facade of looking good is just not worth the stress behind the scenes.
Yep.
The money fights you have with the people in your life, with your spouse, the lack of sleep, because you know deep down, your body knows. It's keeping score that you owe someone money and that you are
book.
not safe.
The body keeps the
That's
score.
right.
So again, and some people I'm sure are thinking like, I'm not being luxurious. It's hard, and it is hard. It is hard right
Yes.
now.
The
It
people
very,
listening
very
to this
much is.
podcast are very smart. They're like, well, that's not me, Rachel. I'm really trying to live debt free, and money still feels tight, and it still feels like I don't
That's
make
right.
enough money.
Yes. So there's very much a realness of still being wise, but still re-examining, the subscriptions, delivery services. I mean, you can go through all of it, and it's like, man, it adds up. It adds
Yes.
up quick. So
And can we just say this? It might be time to get another job, to move career fields. If you're still like you're making $12 an hour and you've been in the game for a decade, yeah, you might be worth way more than that. And so go get the skills needed, do it debt free, go apply for the job, like take that kind of risk, but do it without debt.
Yeah.
And don't jump ship without having income in place.
that's right.
So don't just quit today and go, well, George said to. No, I did not say that.
That was Jack talking.
So another thing is setting expectations and resetting expectations of what life looks like. And a lot of the times this stems from growing up and everyone was like, Rachel, if you just work hard and get good grades and go to your dream school, life's going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. But what they don't tell you is that your student loan payments are going to show up as soon as you graduate. And the job you thought that was going to be like a $90,000 job right out of college, it's more like $35,000.
I know. Yep.
And so don't believe all of these lies that are peddled from parents and guidance counselors and colleges and marketing. Life never works out the way you want it to. And one of the best ways to circumvent that is to just avoid debt.
Yep. Absolutely. And to have the expectation of what life, what it is. And it's just a speckle on the timeline of the universe.
Love
We're
that.
just here
A
for a
flash in the
split
pan.
second. And so don't live this life stressed out with money because of just buying. So be wise and set those expectations.
And we co-host the Ramsey Show together, Rachel, which is another great podcast, great radio show. And we do these things called debt-free screams. And the stories that people share are so encouraging to me that are proving what we're talking about. that the income is not the factor, because we meet teachers, we meet all kinds of people who are making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year who pay off like large amounts of debt.
Yep.
And they become millionaires. We did a millionaire study, and the number 3 spot was for teachers.
Yes.
Number 3 most likely to become millionaires. And these are not people making $150,000 a year. And so it was what they did with the money
The diligence.
that mattered.
That's right. Exactly. So last but not least, set financial goals. So this new year, I feel like people, this new year or New
Hashtag
Year's.
goals. New Year's.
I'm going to add the plural in for myself. But, financial goals is big. People really do. They want to get their money in order. So we just want to give you hope, you guys out there, that this year, 2023, can be your year. It can be your year. It can be your year to say, okay, I'm finally going to take control of my money. I'm finally going to get out of debt. I'm finally going to stop letting culture and the world tell me what is normal, what should be, all of it. And so there's just this power that you can reclaim for yourself, right? There's a lot of things in life right now we can't control, things going on, but there's something that you can control, and that is your income and what you choose to do with it. So George and I are your
Beautifully
cheerleaders this year.
We have a goal planner, and there's still a few available, I think. And we worked on this with our friend Dr. John Deloney, and it's a whole goal planner that covers 3 areas of your life: money, faith, relationships. And I think it helps to have a physical representation of those goals, to write them down,
Yep.
to keep track of it. I used to do the resolutions, and it made me feel good. So like on December 31st, here's the 37 things I'm going to
Wow. Were
magically
you one of those
change.
people?
I was. Until I realized that I was not accomplishing anything. Just made me feel good for about a day.
I know.
So, but truthfully, the way I set goals and the way I accomplished them was writing them down on paper, having accountability in my life, and creating habits that got me there. And that's why we talk about budgeting and all this nerdy stuff. It's not because we're nerds, which we are. It's because we want to see you win, and that takes discipline.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, just to kind of wrap it up, you guys, I don't think there's a magic number to your income. It's about your habits. So if you have bad money habits and you're given $10 million, Heidi and Spencer, you can blow it. Proof, right? Plug in any sports person or actor
Plug
or
in
something
sports
that
people.
plug in
Whatever you want to do.
those people that throw footballs, whatever they
Football
are,
players,
that it's proof that your habits really do determine it. Or you could be making $60,000 and could become a millionaire.
Absolutely.
Because your habits are incredible and you save and you invest and you live below your means. So again, it's more about you, who you are as a person. So here's the beautiful thing about that, George. Here's why I love this. Because you can create great habits. And as your life goes on, more than likely, you're going to make more and more money, right? You're going to get raises.
Yes.
You're going to move up in roles within a company. I mean, naturally, hopefully.
Your investments grow. You have
You're
a
making
house
more
and
money.
that grows.
Yes, all of that. And as you create good habits and that grows along with you, it's just going to help you more and more handle and grow your wealth. Again, not just to make money for the heck of it, but to truly change your family tree, put systems in place to help you and your family, to help other people, all of it. So you have a lot of power in this, right?
Yes.
The individual.
And
so,
you've said this on this show before, that money is a tool.
yes.
That's all it is.
Yep.
And it's just a magnifying glass that makes you more of whoever you are. And so if you manage your $50,000 really well, that bodes well for managing more. But if you're mismanaging $45,000 because you're spending lavishly and trying to put up this facade of someone you're trying to be, then don't expect much more. And so there's just a good principle in that of stewarding that money that you do have right now well.
I love it. Man, 2023.
got
Guys, are
serious.
we're like your coach this episode.
Didn't mean to be.
We did not mean
Throw
for this,
the football,
for
Rachel.
this episode
Make
to go
the
that
touchdown
way.
play. Throw the ball in the hoop.
We went for it. So
We should go
Don't be
speak
mad
to
at
like
us.
an NFL team, Rachel.
All
Or
you that-
even better, your Tennessee Vols. They could use some motivation.
no, they've done great this year, George.
Oh, really?
George, they
I
were
need to
number
keep up.
one, and then they slid down.
Well, that's the
But
thing.
okay. Hey, we haven't
they
been
were
that
number
since
one.
2010.
But they're out. They're not. They didn't make it, Rachel.
They got closer than they ever have.
Sure.
Number six, I'm being told.
A for effort.
Whatever.
What would be your pep talk as a coach for your listeners for 2023? You have to say one,
Oh my
and you have
gosh.
to talk like
Okay.
you'd be a coach,
Okay.
and then George has to do it.
All right, here we go. You guys can do this. I can't. Hold on.
No one can
Hold
take
on.
you seriously.
I-
You got to keep a serious face.
I know.
There's no way to do this seriously.
I know. I'm going to start laughing. Here we go. And I'm going to stare at the ground. I can't look at you, George. You guys can do this. If you put your mind to something and you believe and you have hope, that's when you're going to make a difference. You absolutely can control things that you can control. I can't do it.
You went about.
I love the intensity.
It was about 8
I had
seconds.
to be intense. I'm talking to people that are.
I feel like
throwing
your voice
money.
got louder. It was
Okay, you go.
Good job.
I feel like my voice would get deep in a non-authentic way.
no, but
Go.
I feel like this is
Did
the
you
whole
just hear
point.
me?
If you believe it, you can achieve it. Was that pretty good?
That was it? That's all? You're just like a one-liner.
It's good. So pep talks aside, we need to get clarity on what we want in 2023, figure out what we need to do to get there, and decide, are we actually going to do it? Like, are we willing to take on the side hustle? Are we willing to make sacrifices in every area of life? Are we willing to not eat out for a season? Are we willing to drive Uber and do all kinds of things we don't want to do so that we can win long term?
And get out of debt and build an emergency fund, build that
Yes.
foundation, then you can stop all that. And then you can
And
go
do
enjoy
it with
life.
blinders on, going, I don't care what anyone else is doing or what
right.
they think about me. I'm going to do what's right
I'm
for
going
me.
to get out of this financial hole. If you have debt, get a firm foundation with that emergency fund. And then,
And have your
You
wife
breathe
front and center.
and
Why the
enjoy.
heck are you doing this? Because if it's not worth it, you know?
oh, yes.
Why
I thought
do
you said
it?
have your wife front and center.
You know, I like to do that. Just keep Whitney.
Whitney, she's right there.
She's on my vision
She's-
board.
she's-
But it's a great reminder.
I know.
You need a deep enough why.
And you guys, we believe in you. You can do this. We're
We
here
really
for you.
do.
George and I are cheering you on. You got this. You got this. All right, George, it's time for our last segment.
Guilty as charged.
This is where our producer gives us a new guilty as charged question every week. And if we've done it, we have to take a drink and explain ourselves.
Explain yourself.
Explain yourself, Lindsay.
Okay. Have you ever bought something on Amazon? It never showed up at your doorstep.
Wow.
So you asked for a refund and then later it actually did show up.
Oh.
And you kept it.
Dang.
Ooh.
Wow. No, I don't think that's happened to me.
You ordered it, never showed up. You're like, what the heck, Amazon? Like, oh, okay, here's your money. And then it showed up like the next day.
Or maybe you've thought about it. Because this happens where like they're delayed. But
100%,
you just think, But
yeah.
then it ends up coming back. Like, have you even thought about like, ooh, I went through so much already. Like, should I send this back?
Man, no. I can tell you
No.
with Amazon, though, what makes my heart happy, and that has happened, is you buy something that's so cheap and you go to return it and they just return you the money and you get
they
to
say
keep
you,
the item.
you don't need to send it back.
Yes.
Because it costs them more money to get
To
it shipped.
ship it, I know. And I was like, oh, I love that.
That's
I want to buy
happened.
more of those. So I'm almost like
Okay,
strategic
should I
in
give
it.
you a new question then?
Yeah, I mean, it's for sure happened. I couldn't tell
I
you what it
don't
was.
know. I
I
don't
did
think
have
that's
that
happened
happen
to
though with a pet ramp, and I went to return it, and they were like,
Oh.
"Just keep it. You can donate it to an animal shelter."
Wait, time out. Where's my whistle? My referee whistle? You bought a what?
a pet ramp, so the dogs can get up on the bed and on the couch safely,
Stop it.
without
Stop it.
injuring their little spines.
Stop it. Stop it. I can't. I absolutely, I can't.
Are you a French bulldog? Then you can't relate. You can't speak to this.
You just spoke for 40 minutes about luxury living and you have a ramp
Yes.
for your dogs.
They're basically handicapped, Rachel. They can't just get up and down on things like normal humans.
Oh,
She's so little. They're so stumpy. They're not bred
George?
for this.
George, how much would it take you to get out of bed, lift this little dog?
Now that we're talking honestly, we went from a queen bed to a lower king bed to accommodate our dogs so that they could get on and off without hurting themselves. And so they had room to spread out. So if you want to talk for real, that's real talk.
If you want to talk luxurious living,
Anyways, we kept the pet ramp.
So I guess the question is, do you recommend pet ramp?
No, it was cumbersome. What didn't look good. I think the pet ramp industry
I'm
could use an
shocked.
overhaul.
I'm
Was it kind of like a slide?
I legitimately have
Why
thought
do
like
I
I should
picture
start
it
a
like
pet
that?
ramp business because there's so little out there. Like they just look
What can
cheesy.
you like what does this look like exactly?
It's a tiny ramp. Sometimes
like
there's stairs.
wooden or like
It's
plastic?
like made of plastic. It has like a grippy top so their little legs can make it up without slipping.
Okay.
Yeah. And it is a lot of dogs have like, health issues. And
I also love, can we go back to the original part where you said Amazon said, give this to someone?
they said, hey, you can keep it. You can donate it to an animal shelter.
Amazon,
you don't need to return
cheers
it.
to you. Way to be good people. They said donate it to someone else who needs it. I love it.
We may put it for free on Facebook Marketplace. Or
you
something.
haven't donated it yet.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think it's with us anymore. So I think we must have just given it away on Facebook.
What color was it?
It was like brown. They're always like sad, just taupey colors on most of these things.
Oh no.
Anyways.
This is taking a left.
Oh, it's so good, George.
Wow.
I appreciate
Well,
your.
now
I
that we
really
know
appreciate
way
your
too much.
your vulnerability and honesty.
But I love my dogs more than people.
You do. You
and therefore,
love.
I will do anything.
I know, and
for
I
these
really do
dogs.
appreciate
I
that.
think the audience is learning that too.
And
Love it.
If you own a designer dog, you know the lengths that we go. Me and Lady Gaga, we understand.
Two things that you just really have empathy for together. You're like, I get it. I get you. I understand
Well,
you.
you told us on an episode you pray for Lindsay Lohan. And so we can, if we want to start talking about insanity. Okay.
We can go anyways. So you guys don't forget, if you have a fun guilty as charged question that you want us to answer, make sure to DM us. And you can do at Rachel Cruze, at George Kamel with a K, and make sure to label it guilty as charged.
Label it.
So we can see it.
Label that DM. Okay. On to the drink. What rating would you give this Jack and Coke?
If you knew me, you know I love a Jack and Coke. I'm going to go 10 out of 10.
I've never seen you drink one, and so therefore I did not know.
It was like my drink for many years. I just love a good Jack and Coke.
Wow. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a
First of
fan.
all, I stopped drinking sodas a while back.
Okay.
So
Jeez.
I drink bubbly drinks that are just carbonated waters, but I got rid of the sodas. I do love a Diet Dr. Pepper though. If you're gonna force one on me,
Yeah, take
a
that
Diet
one.
Dr. Pepper.
This is
I just
it's just
think
regular Coke though. It's
tastes
pretty
like
sweet.
A watered down.
Yeah,
Coke.
this is sweet. I like the Diet Coke better.
But it is pretty affordable because all it takes is literally Coca-Cola and Jack Daniels and mix them together, and it costs about $2.75 a glass. If
And there's
you're
a
making this
reason
at
they're
home.
so good and so classic
What's the reason?
because they're so good and
Oh.
so classic.
Well, it's easy. Number one, like
We need to put that on a wall somewhere.
so. If you want to make this at home, check out the very detailed recipe in the show notes, and let us know on social if you tried it out. Many of you, I'm sure, have had that. It was probably your first drink when you turned 21, and you're like, I don't like alcohol. Well, now you do because you're just drinking Coca-Cola. There you go. And feel free to suggest your favorite cocktail or mocktail for our future episodes. Again, you can send us a DM at George Kamel with a K or at Rachel Cruze on social.
That's right. All right. That's it for this episode. Don't forget to share this with your friends who never feel like they make enough money. Hopefully this will motivate them. That's more about them.
With Coach
so
Rachel.
important. That's right. And follow us on social media and make sure to subscribe to this podcast by hitting that follow button. And you'll get new episodes every Thursday.
Without fail.
That's right.
And if a new goal of yours this year is to leave more reviews, we would love one. That's a great, easy goal to check off your list.
That's right. All right, you guys. Well, we'll see you next Thursday for
Smart Money Happy Hour.
What the people don't know is you almost broke the glass.